LEGO Racers is a fantastic kart racing game from 1999. It has fun gameplay, cool characters and features some of the best themes LEGO has ever made. And the racetracks are all based on these great themes. Most of the tracks have shortcuts. Some of them were very well hidden, like this one on Tribal Island Trail, which I only found out a couple years ago. And some of them were so obvious you could think they were the actual track, like this one on Ice Planet Pathway. Most of the tracks had shortcuts. There's only one track that did not have any, and that is Knightmare-Athon. Knightmare-Athon is an amazing race that features the Fright Nights theme. With Basil the Battler being the racing champion here, it certainly made an impression. As a child I thought there must be a shortcut around here somewhere. I really thought it had something to do with this glowing painting, but it turns out it was just a facade. So after doing some research I discovered that originally there were not only one, but two shortcuts on this track. But both of them have been removed during development. So where were these shortcuts? The first one goes on top of the castle here and comes out of here. The second shortcut starts here at the brooms and exits here at the finish line. Even though they have been removed, there's still quite a lot of remnants still present in the game. If you park your car just right, you can look through this wall. And now you can see a red brick very high up. There's no way you can reach that by playing the game normally. So it's safe to assume you were supposed to hit this pillar with something like a cannonball. It will then fall over and create a ramp up to the red brick. I also presume that this is the reason why this shortcut has been removed. It would have been the only shortcut to use an obstacle as a way to enter the shortcut. What I mean is that all the shortcuts are either completely open, like on Royal Knights Raceway or Pirate Skull Pass, or there is some sort of barrier you need to go through, like on Alien Rally Asteroid or Magnum Moon Marathon. This Knightmare-Athon shortcut would have required some extra development time to make it work, but this is a big assumption on my part. Let's take a look at what would have been the exit of the shortcut. Notice that all the windows are roughly the same shape, apart from this one. It's really narrow and looks like it was placed in a hurry. This often happens in 3D when you remove polygons from a complex shape and quickly fill those up. We'll see this happen in the other shortcut too. Also notice that the ground here is quite rough and not as smooth as the rest of the game. This is probably shaped to create a nicer exit for the shortcut, but quickly adjusted. So if you put together what we know, we can stipulate what the shortcut might have looked like. You hit the pillar with the red power up, the pillar will then fall over and create a ramp. We're able to drive over the pillar and reach the top of the castle. From the roof we make our way down and drive parallel to the actual track. And we exit from here, likely from a bit of height. With that figured out, we can take a look at the second shortcut. Just like the shortcut from earlier, we can look through this wall and see a white brick. Also, if you go back a bit, you can see that the textures are a bit strange here, likely from changing it in a short time frame. The exact same thing can be found here near the finish line. The texture here is slightly sharper than the rest, and there are a few more power-ups behind this wall. So it seems like we enter here at the brooms, go over the normal track and come out here. From what I've read, this shortcut got removed quite late in the development process. We know this if we take a look at the data running behind the scenes. This screenshot shows the checkpoints that the game uses to see where you are on the track. From this information the game can gather if you're driving in the right direction and on what lap you are. Notice that there are checkpoints running outside the normal track. It's also displayed on the map if you take a look at the fire elements. The first shortcut has no checkpoints and no representation on the map, so we can assume that this shortcut got removed early in development. In this screenshot of an early build, we can see that this boulder is covering up the entrance of the shortcut. It's likely that this boulder can be destroyed with a red power-up. There's also an unused sound effect called boulder, and sounds like this. This would have played when the boulder got destroyed. So now that we know what the shortcuts would have looked like, it's time to recreate them. I started with importing the original 3D map from the game. This includes all the original textures as well. It only has the main elements from the map, so background details like torches, shields and skeletons' heads are missing. The second shortcut is a bit simpler in its design, so I started with that one. I reopened the walls and made a pathway from the entrance to the exit. And I checked regularly with people who know this game inside and out, and I got some great feedback. Santero took it upon himself to recreate the tunnel as accurately as possible, and even added all the textures. The original track has some decoration elements like torches and shields. We just need to add some power-ups and now it's looking like a LEGO Racers environment. The last thing to create is the boulder at the entrance. Santera has made it as accurate as possible. Even the textures are aligned just like the screenshot of the early build. Now I can animate it breaking apart. I did a few different styles, but finally settled on the boulder splitting in half. It's probably not accurate to how it would have been originally, but I really like the cartoon element of this animation. With that in place, I think we're done with this one. Now it's time for the more difficult shortcut. What makes this difficult is that the pillar has to break and fall in a way that feels somewhat realistic, but at the same time create a way so that a car can drive over it. I had to redo this a couple times to get it right. As we were working on it, we noticed that the geometry around the pillar is quite rough. It looks like the pillar used to be twice as wide, and in order to fit a car on the pillar it was necessary to do so. I did not talk about this earlier, but the red power-up on top of the castle is not exactly in the middle, but slightly to the right. I think there used to be only one entry into the castle, because if we then move the LEGO builds to the right, the power-up is now in the middle. And it makes sense, seeing how much space the fallen pillar takes up. I won't implement this into the video, but I thought it was good to mention this. So I moved the builds back to the center. Once that was in place, I laid down a path that the car would take. I kept it quite simple and narrow, since that's also on the original track. Then it was time to decorate everything, add the power-ups and some background elements as well. So this is what I think the shortcuts would have looked like. And there we have it. Of course, this is all speculation. Only the people who actually worked on the game can tell us what the shortcuts really look like. So if a developer from LEGO Racers or perhaps someone still at High Voltage Software happens to be watching, I'd love to know if it comes close to the original. I'd like to thank everybody who has helped me out with this project. I wouldn't be able to make this happen without their help. Thank you for watching and I hope to see you in the next video.